is it really worth the £200 extra for the Kuiu Mountain Star 2, or should you go for the Terra Nova Wild Country Panacea 2? Let's find out, eh?
First impressions of the tent, first time using it. This is the feedback I'm going to give you. Overall, the shape of it, I do like it a lot. Very strong structure. Trekking poles are inside of here, which does give it a lot of support. Without them, I don't think it'll be a strong structure. Venting on it, probably the best venting on a tent I've had. You've got a vent on this side, a vent on that side, and one either end. Underneath here, you do have little toggles, so you can close them and put this down. Door wise, as you can see, the door configuration, it opens here, and you have various toggles. As you can open it up in thirds, so you can have it here, to here, all the way back, opening the full front door open to the inner. Inside of the tent, as you can see, the vestibule is very generous. Inside, it is very generous for space. 2-man, I think with a smaller mat, you will get 2 people in there. You have a vent at that side and a vent at that side, which corresponds with that one there. So for the pockets inside, you have one down there next to my jacket. You have another one there. Obviously the door on the other side is for the other vestibule. The inside is nice and taut. Overall, a good size and what you would expect from a Terra Nova Wild Country 2-man tent.
So this is the Kuiu. We've got very similar to the Panacea 2 in terms of the pole structure. So it doesn't come all the way across, but still with the tracking poles inserted inside, it is very strong and very rigid, and I'm happy with that. We've got the adjustable toggles with good 8 inches on each of these, so if you do want to move them out a little bit so that you can get good pegging positions, then they have those. You've got ventilation, not as good as the Panacea. We've got one either side, one at this side, one at that side, very same size, but a little bit different on this one. You do have a larger opening below the tent, which is going to obviously help provide a bit more ventilation and maybe make you a little bit colder on those colder nights. But aside of that, I do like the structure. It was easily pitched. I like the guidelines, just the simple things like the glow in the dark features, but very similar. So taking you for a little look inside. So as you can see, tracking poles there. Got the doors tied back at the minute. The front does open all the way up on this one too. You've got your access to your vents, pockets on the outside, generous space inside. As you can see with my foil mat there, you could get 2 people in here. It is wider at the head end and smaller and narrower at the foot end, and obviously 2 very generous vestibules there.
The good points of this tent, what I'm liking already, is the structure. I do like the way this comes over the top and splits and adds support to all the sides, rather than a full centre pole like you get in the Helms and across the top. Going onto the structure yet again is the tracking poles, which you've got inside of there, which pushes up and adds tension through the bottom. Fantastic, adds lots of strength to it. The other one of the vents, as we're going through the vents before, it's got 4 vents on, which means no matter where the air is coming from, it's going to be going through there and wicking away all the condensation, so it leaves you with a dry tent in the morning. Vestibules, love them, the size of them, the options of what you've got for the door. I think coming to the summer, it'll be a great tent for that. You can also close it off and have that third open for cooking in. Another good point is inside, just the size of it, the space you're getting throughout it, absolutely great. And you can open the insides open. You can open the insides up to get into the vents on the outside. The tension system throughout the bottom is really good. So for these panels being your doors, you can pull them down and give it a good bit of tension, and it does tighten the full thing round. If you're using one door, happy days, because the other side will be really tight. Another good point to me is it's sold at a 3-season tent. The Northern Light, which is a sister, which is very similar, as a 3 to 4 season tent. But if you look down here at the floor, you'll see it is both tight to the floor all the way around. You aren't getting much through that. It's really sealed. I think it'll help a lot in the wind. You wouldn't get snowdrift anything through it, so that there is a big bonus to me keeping all them drafts out, because the wind chill does suck all the energy out, yeah.
So the good things that I like about this, the guy lines, super thin but super strong. They've also got that reflective taper going all the way throughout them. The glow in the dark, the pegs are really good as well. Nice little hook on them, V-shaped pegs. They went into the ground very well in here, especially you can see how many rocks there is. We managed to get them in really good. You can give them a good belt. I also like the tensioner. I like how they're thin rather than having a big thick one. I use these gloves most often so I can give it a good tug, and it works very well. I also like the thicker, bigger clips that lock them in. I do think it holds up very strong. Obviously it needs tested in some good winds and things like that, but it feels very solid here, even though I have got it spun round the opposite way to where it should be head end to the wind, but I can't be lying with my head upside down, if that makes sense. So I like all of those points. Inside, I really like how big it is at the top, especially the head end gives you plenty of room. For me, I'm only 5'6", 5'7", so it's perfect length. I can get my bag at the bottom, I can get everything in terms of that. And the vestibule is just absolutely huge. I think it's I'm looking forward to cooking in it, to be honest, tonight. But they're the good features. And also one thing is just the zips. You can access your two vents from the inside just via little zips. So you just open those zips there and you can get your hand out and you can open and close them just in case any wind is blowing on your rain in or anything like that. So I do like that about the tent too. I also love how deep the tub is. That's a very good feature there, provided that I don't sit on that and rip it down or something like that. But also the storage is unreal. So this was an extra, but I've got the little roof loft thing where I can put all my bags. We've got little tags all paracord all the way around the outside to hang stuff off. But we've also got a pocket in each corner, which is very handy, so you can organise your kit very well and access it very well without having to have it on the ground or all in the way and things like that. So the storage is definitely being thought about inside of here.
So the bad points about this so far, what I'm seeing, is guy lines. You have got a long one here, which does come off the vent, but if you do want to close that vent, it means releasing that and making it a bit slacker so your strength's gone. Coming to the back on this vent, it is a very short guy line. So all your guy lines are on your vents. It would have been nice to have one maybe this point here, maybe you can attach one, but they're not in the best place for me. Maybe it's just the design of the tent, but I'm not really happy with the guy out points. Coming inside, I'll show you a bit of a down point for me, and it's storage. So inside, it's very hard to see, but over there we do have a pocket, and it's very small. You've got one on either side, and to be honest with you, you can't store much in it, and that is a very big letdown. Looking at Lee's tent, the storage in that is absolutely massive, and I like to get all my dry bags, put them in one corner, and then all my other equipment I want to use in the other corner or in the other pocket in there. I'm limited. Yes, it is a two-man, but I don't want to have stuff all over the floor. But that's the only bad points for me, to be honest with you. I'm happy with the rest of it, but the storage, I think it does matter quite a bit.
Some of the things that I don't like, and I mentioned before, was how high this is. Again, we're on uneven ground. It's not so high on the other side and things like that. It would be nice to have a nice flat spot to see what the difference is, but ultimately I'm not always going to get that. And if I was in thicker grass, maybe not too much of an issue, but here, nice sort of mossy ground, it is going to be a bit of an issue, that wind getting underneath there. So I'm not too keen on that. When I was pitching it via the video that was shown on the website, I still thought that when I was putting the two main poles through, I had to jump across to the other side, just because how they cross. I had to kind of feed it through, give it a bit of a push, and then run back and then push it all the way right through. I would like to just be able to straight on one end, just push it all the way straight through. Whether I had it too tight or not, I'm not too sure, but that was the only sort of pitching issues that I had. Something I am thinking about is, and again, do I really need it? We've got a nice little tassel out here. I haven't tied the guy line on properly, but where we can almost, so when the wind's coming up, it's going to track up and it's going to blow through the middle. I would have liked that on the other side, just in scenarios like this. So just down here, just so we could have the same, so we can get that ventilation running all the way through in scenarios where you do have to pitch it the opposite way to what they would recommend. And something else I mentioned is maybe just something else just to pin this down if the winds do get a bit higher. Obviously if it wasn't as rocky, I'd be able to move that in, that would pull that down, and then also just pinning this down, it's going to reduce the gap dramatically, and stop, so when you're cooking and things like that, you don't need to worry too much about the wind blowing through. Aside of that, I'm very happy with it.
Now you've had a tour of the tents, what do you think?
Do you own one of these tents? So do you have the Panacea 2? Is this something that you think that we might have missed, or watching through the videos is something that caught your eye, which you think might be worth mentioning, whether it be good or whether it be bad? Same for the Kuiu. Do you own one? Have you got one? Is this something that you've noticed that obviously I haven't in the short time of owning it? Is there something that needs pointing out, so people can make the decision? Is it really worth the extra couple £100,
or is it worth saving the extra couple £100 and getting the Panacea 2?